Hello, people. This is Vlad, and I am today going to show you the fractal nature of the markets. You know how everyone keeps saying that these things are fractal, the concepts are fractal when studying ICT, but nobody can actually explain the fractal nature of things, like in terms of time and price. Most people just repeat that whatever happens on one time frame happens on all time frames, but they don't really understand what they're saying. I mean, what they're saying is true, but they don't understand it. And they never explain it. And they don't explain it because they don't understand it. So I wanted to show you now fractal nature of the markets. And in order to do that, I'll have to mention first a few time and price based concepts that ICT taught in the 2024 and 2025 lecture series. And that's the opening range concept, the concept of the first presented fair value gap, and the concept of time in relation to the daily sessions. So when it comes to the daily price delivery, Michael is saying that on a typical um, continuation day, like for example, let's say the morning session delivered bearish. On a typical day with clean price action, if the day is bearish, you will see lunch retracing back into the morning session, and more specifically, it will retrace to 20 to 30% of the opening range. So pay attention. The opening range is from 9:30 to 10. So a 20 to 30% retracement into the opening range. And then the PM session will provide the continuation. So another bearish delivery. Now, this same concept is fractal. It doesn't work only on the daily delivery, it works for the hourly delivery as well. It works for smaller time frame deliveries also. But in this specific example, I'll show you the hourly. And I can leave a link in the description where Michael explains the specific concept with the retracement of 20 to 30% of the opening range. So you can check it out for yourself. I'm not going to deep dive into it now, but I'll show you how this concept is fractal. So here we have the delivery from 6:30 to 7:30, okay, of yesterday, Friday, March 28th. So when we're talking about the opening range, it is very important to pay attention to what Michael is saying, because in his 2024 lecture series, in the very first lecture, he teaches that there is an opening range every single hour. It is not just 9:30 to 10. It is 7:30 to 8. It is 8:30 to 9. It is 9:30 to 10. It is 10:30 to 11. It is 11:30 to 12. And this goes on and on and on. the whole day. And so going through my notes and reading about this, which was mentioned in the very first lecture of the 2024 series. So you can understand why if you don't take notes, this thing can go over your head, and then you can watch another 50 lectures, which is like 200 hours of content, and then you easily forget this single thing that he mentioned in the span of 2 minutes in the very first lecture of the series. Okay, that's why it's important to take notes, then go back and reread them after you finish the mentorship. So I started to apply this logic not only to the 9:30 to 10 delivery, but I decided to apply it to other other hourly deliveries throughout the day. And it's fascinating once you see it. And let me show you. So here we have 6:30 to 7, which is our opening range for the 7 o'clock delivery. What do you want to do once you mark your range, your time interval from 6:30 to 7? What you want to do is take your FIP and draw from the high to the low like this. So you take the highest high and the lowest low that formed during this time interval. What you also want to do, the same thing that you do from 9:30 to 10, you want to mark your first presented fair value gap during that range. And this should be a light bulb moment for you. Yes, there are first presented gaps every single hour. Every single hour. Now, I know this here is the first presented fair value gap. But what Michael is always saying, if the first presented fair value gap is rather small, so just 1, 2 handles, 1, 2 ticks, you can take the next well-defined gap. Okay, then that's why I'm using this one. This big down close candle, which is a CB, as my first presentation of a fair value gap during the opening range from 6:30 to 7. That's the opening range for the 7 to 7:30 delivery. Okay, so pay attention. This gap initially formed, if you take your FIP, I actually already marked it, the larger portion of the gap is at a discount. There is just a very small portion here on top that is above equilibrium of the opening range. So this small portion is the only portion of the gap that is in premium. Okay. And in order to go down, price needs to reach into a premium array before dropping, right? So when you have your market structure shift here, this is your breaker. This is here, you're changing the state of delivery. So a bearish order block. And this portion of the inefficiency, this small portion is at a premium. So it is reasonable to expect that we're going to reach here to the upper portion of the CB because it's in a premium. Okay, if this is a valid market structure shift, we should reach there, but we should not trade through it. Okay, the gap should not be filled with the bodies, and price should remain weak. Okay, so what happens after that? 701 is here, 702 we start dropping. We drop through the remainder of the macro up until 713, at which point we are retracing back into the fair value gap. But this time, look where price, if you were paying attention in the beginning of the lecture, when I was telling you how deep the launch macro usually retraces into the opening range gap, if the day will provide a continuation during the PM session, so 20 to 30% into the opening range. What is it doing here? It's retracing to, look where is the 25% of the range. And for you, I will add 30% of the range. Let's make it orange so you can see it. The bodies are stopping right there. Look, right there. 30% of the opening range from 630 to 7 on this retracement. So this retracement here is the same as your launch session retracement back into the opening range. And then right here in 723, price fails to even reach the consequent encroachment of the first presentation of fair value gap and then drops. So this here now is a change in the state of delivery. So this is your change in the state of delivery that is now confirmed. This now, this green candle is a bearish order block and it should not allow price to trade above it. Look how it's not even able to reach the midpoint. Okay, stopping right there and then poof, starts going down. There's your minor sell side that we take here. When do we take it? Look, this is 730, 731, we take it. What starts from 730 to 8? That's another opening range. And look, price starts building the new opening range from 730 to 8. Okay. The fact that it's failing here to reach the consequent encroachment of the first presented fair value gap means it's weak and it's gonna go down further. It's gonna print another leg. Okay. Right. So that's a rather small scalp from here down to here, but it's 32 handles. It's pretty reasonable, pretty respectable range that you can trade with high level of conviction that it's gonna pan out using the rules that are already shared by Michael and me. Okay. And now I want to show you the same thing, how it applies for the London lunch delivery. So the London lunch delivery is from 5 to 7. So let's see what happened during that interval. So just so you see the fractal nature of price. What is price going to do during the various sessions, hours, etc. Okay, so let's remove the FIP here, remove the first presentation. Okay, and now I'm gonna move this opening range, and I'm gonna mark the range from 430 to 5. And that will be the opening range from 430 to 5, which will be utilized during the London lunch delivery. The London lunch delivery, once again, is from 5 to 7, New York local time. Okay. Okay. Let me remove this one so it's not confusing. So the opening range from 430 to 5 will be used during the London lunch delivery. And what you want to do, once again, you have the range here from low to high. You want to mark from the lowest low to the highest high during the range. And you want to see once price trades out of it, look, what is it doing then? Here is 530 all the way to 553, which is a macro. You're already seeing it and you're like, oh my God, this is so scripted. And it is. Look, the 25th percentile of this opening range, the market stops dead on its track right there on this absolutely random level during some random macro hour and then starts expanding up. Look, up all the way to a daily volume imbalance. This pink box at the top, that's a daily volume imbalance. So, one more time, your, where is 7 o'clock? Your London lunch is here. Let me mark it with these big black candles. Sorry. So it's visible. Okay, from 5 to 7. This is the London lunch delivery. You will use the opening range from 430 to 5 in order to frame your London lunch delivery. See that? Retracement back to the 25th percentile and then change in the state of delivery. Here. And then we start going up. This here, if you make your chart bigger, if you ever wonder why Michael is having his chart so stretched out, it's because of this. Because some things you cannot notice if your chart is like this. You're not going to notice them. So please, I don't want to see charts like this. Stretch them out a little bit. Here is your market structure shift. Okay, that's your market structure shift. With what? A fair value gap. Fair value gap. Touch it. What time is it? 6. And then go, 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 go. You can hold it all the way to the next macro. Look, this candle here is 649. That's when it starts dropping. Okay. It's actually from 6:30 to 7. So from here to here, it's your, as we already discussed, opening range for what? For the pre-session delivery. So the pre-market, New York pre-market is from 7 all the way to 9:30. So the range that the opening range for the pre-market session for New York is from 6:30 to 7. So um, these are the things time-wise that you have to pay attention to. What price is doing during these specific time intervals. Okay. So do you see how accurate this is? It's incredible. And this is not just for the daily delivery. You see that it works for sessions. So this is the launch during London. It works for specific hours. If you want to do short-term scalping, um, it it's it works for every single um, time interval that you can think of. It's fractal. That's what fractal nature of price means. It's going to deliver the same way. Doesn't matter how high of a time frame you go to, it's going to deliver the exact same way. Okay. In this instance here, we never. This was the first presentation of fair value gap. We never reached into it for 36. It was in a very deep discount. There was higher targets that we were aiming for. Why? Because during lunch, so from Michael that during New York lunch, we are typically retracing back into what? Into the morning range. Okay. So the same thing happens for London. During London lunch, we will retrace back into the London range. So whatever happened from 1 to 5 during London, then during 5 to 7, the London lunch will most probably, not always, but most of the time, we will retrace against the people who made money during London. Okay. I mean, London AM. So that's what we're doing here. Look, 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 look. This is what London was doing from 2 o'clock all the way down to 4 o'clock. It was a big bearish move. So price just dropped. And then during lunch, what is it doing? It's retracing against the people who made money here. Your obvious pool of liquidity or the low-hanging fruit will be here. This is the obvious short-term high that you can target during London lunch. You can frame your setup here using the market structure shift or a change in the state of delivery order block. This fair value gap here that we already discussed. There is many setups that you can frame. Relative equal highs here as well. Okay, those two here as well. This high also. See, and then the rest of the day delivers. Anyway, feel free to go to your charts, backtest this concept for other days, sessions, hours that you can find. Try to find it on your charts, as many examples as possible, so it can stick into your head. Because this, using concepts like this, it's telling you whether price will retrace deeper against you. For example, if you short from here, you will know once you see this happening, you will know that it's most likely gonna, if you trail to here, your position, it's most likely gonna take you out. So use time-based concepts to manage your position, to make entries, manage stop loss, everything. And I urge you one more time, when studying ICT, first of all, take notes. This is the most important thing. Take notes, because these things, they'll go over your head and you'll never figure it out. These are different bits and pieces of a puzzle that if you don't have this information stored somewhere, so you can go back and read these things again, backtest them, they're never gonna compound in your brain, and you're never gonna make sense out of it. But if you do, eventually all these things start clicking. And second of all, when studying ICT, I beg you and beg you guys, study time. The PDA rays, they're great and everything. They're easy to learn, but they're not going to work unless it's the right time. So study time. That's your most important element of ICT. Nothing else. Time, time, time. Okay. And with this, I'm leaving you, and I will speak to you soon in another lecture. Take care. I'm out of here.